Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the NLC. We're getting ready to go into our fourth game of the day. This is going to be Rising Dawn taking on Domino. Both of these teams are currently tied up in the standings 8 and 7. So a lot to play for as we head towards those playoff spots.
Yeah, tied in third place is a pretty comfortable place to be, but we can do better. One of these teams will be taking third spot concretely, or maybe even tying with second again. I need to double check that actually. Yes. Tying, no, they're fourth right now, and they'll be tying with third. So we still have ties, even after this game set. That's lovely, isn't it?
Do we have the head-to-head? Do we know who's got the head-to-head right now? No, that's the answer to that. Yeah, okay,
I don't know that. I'll get working on it in the background. I've got a third arm working on the side. He'll look it up.
I'll find out.
Which means that, thank you, it's so kind of you. And whilst he's looking it up, I can talk about the game, because today's game's going to be pretty exciting. I'm really looking towards seeing how Rising Dawn Esports, their take on how to deal with Domino, because you've seen different teams trying to deal with this composition, and they managed to pull out a couple of wins that I wasn't seeing coming. Okay, there you go. Rising Dawn currently have the head-to-head. So that kind of follows my point a little bit. But Rising Dawn, I'm a big fan of this team. This is Bangstead, who manages to pull out a plethora of different champions out. He seems like he really wants to play carries, but his most played is Ornn, and he's also really, really good at Ornn as well. That's like my ideal player. So yeah, I'm a little bit biased in this matchup, unfortunately.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, I like Bangstead as well. I think he's a very flexible player, but I also think he's a very realistic, flexible player. I think what you see from a lot of flexible players is, you know, them just going carry. You know, you think about players who have like wide champ pools, and you know, it's always the flashy champion you think of when you think of like a like a person with a wide champ pool. Words are really eluding me today, apparently. But you kind of go back to like old school Soaz. Soaz was a player who was very capable of playing the carries for Fnatic back in the day, but also he was a player who had a very, you know, utility focused champ pool as well. And I think someone with a wide champ pool who's willing to kind of take the L and not be the star of the show, and be the Ornn, be the Scions, you know, be that frontline bruiser. That's what defines like a really good flexible player. I think if you look over in the likes of the NLC Div 1, Shikari is a really good example of that. Kerberos is what it used to be. He used to be a very kind of carry orientated, like Warwick, Bloodthirster, old Bloodthirster, Nasus, Triforce, Cho'Gath, you know, stuff like that. Like he would pair tank and then play damage tank. But like now you see him as a player who is more flexible and more capable of picking different things. Anyway, we are in to pick some bans. The bans are done. Akshan's gone. That's all I really care about. And we're going to pick up the Seraphine as the first pickup here for Rising Dawn.
So this has been a lot of red side bans, as you may have noticed today, guys. Has been Seraphine slotted in there somewhere. Rising Dawn are kind of unique. They have the Karthus player, they have the Akshan player, these champions nobody else is really piloting right now, and they're also really, really good at them. Both Fat IRL and Denzel are extremely potent, these champions. Denzel's most champion is Akshan. So they have to get those off the board. They also have to get the glitch off the board, which opens up the Seraphine pick, something we're all huge fans of. Now, immediately the counter comes in with the Silas. I actually really like this option into Seraphine, even if the Seraphine gets slotted into AD carry, which we have seen, and also support as well. It still functions as soon as you hit team fights, access that encore in return can be so potent. And then you also lock in this Aphelios, which is such a strong safety AD right now, and something that Hellman's really been looking towards.
So the final pick is going to be the Lee Sin here. Over the other side, they've got that Aphelios potential pickup here. Looking now towards what they're going to put with him in the bot lane. We have seen, you know, in times past, things like the Thresh is really nice with the Aphelios, just for the safety it provides. But also the Renata is up and available. Now, I actually think Renata is actually one of her weaker matchups into Draven. Not because, you know, she can't deal with it, but she hits Draven with it, he instantly starts dropping axes, and his damage he does to his own team just falls through the floor. But once he comes out, then again, he does have no axes working. It's weird.
So if Rising Dawn don't get rid of the Lulu, I feel like the Lulu slots in perfectly here. It pairs up really well. Diana is one of the few OP champions that it pairs up really well within those first 6 levels, can actually find some dueling spots, get a little bit more space in this early game. And then in tandem with that, polymorphing Lee Sin out of his insect combo is incredibly frustrating for the Lee Sin, and also incredibly easy to do. And that could be a really good pivot point to deal with this Lee Sin in team fights. How do we stop these potential skirmish points from picking off our Aphelios, who without a dash, unless he goes into like Gale Force, even through that, could still get picked off? Just press W on him. So I'm hoping that if Rising Dawn, don't get it banned away from them. Or don't ban it away from Domino. I hope they lock it in.
Alrighty, well, there we go. The Pike is the final ban here from the side of Domino over to Rising Dawn. We'll see what they decide to lock themselves in right now. Running down the timer a little bit, just figuring out exactly what they're going to be picking up and what they're going to be banning. I think, like you said, Lulu's quite a big one. They are just going to take away the Renata. Now, obviously, like I said, I don't particularly favor it into the Draven, but at the same time, it is still a very, very powerful pick. And if you hit 5 people with it, the team fight's over, especially in the Moonfall, makes a really solid setup. You've also got Spuda, who can, Zoro, who's can take the Silas and just take away the Seraphine. There's a lot of team fight potential being locked in here for Domino, and that's scary. Now that they got the Braum, it's not all just about that jumping in and starting to fight. They also have some disengage, they have some counter engage. I am loving what they've got here. I would like to see like a traditional frontliner to kind of round out this Domino comp.
Yeah, and stuff like the Ornn is still available, and they know there's no Braum to block that as well. So they've actually managed to drop themselves into a fantastic spot. Domino have come quite far ahead, and this kind of pairing up with the Braum that we've actually seen a lot more recently with double melee, I actually think works so well. And you can see, we've seen it in previous games today. We saw it on Tuesday. Again, it shows a little bit here. Like, look at the access Braum has in team fights. Look at the champions he's playing into. Normally, we critique Braum as being quite passive in lane and also suffering a little bit. And whilst he has counterpicked himself a little bit, the Seraphine lane can be really hard to deal with. Although saying that, that Janna just got locked in. So, bit of a pivot there.
Interesting pivot there. And like I said, I want to see like a traditional frontliner getting locked in. Darius gets locked in, then immediately they can't go traditional frontline. It's actually like low-key, I love this pick because it's a denial. If you pick Ornn into this, you are going to get... I mean, you're just going to get gray screened. That's the best way to word it without me swearing on air.
It's also really good because look at the champions already locked in for Domino. The Silas and Diana only really go forwards. So suddenly there's all these champions. It's like, okay, guaranteed if fight starts and fights don't end quickly, I'm getting those 5 stacks and I'm starting my team fight arc, which is get 5 stacks, kill the first person, and then put it on the rest of the team and try and pick up as many more kills as you can. Slots in really well. The answer to it immediately is just Aatrox. Spuda, obviously, his most comfortable champion. This is something he's played time and time again. And considering how the comp wants to play, we've already talked about it. It wants to walk forwards. This pairs up so well with that.
I'm interested how this game's going to go down. Now, obviously, on one side, it's a lot of AD. It's a lot of AD. Obviously, you do have the Seraphine, but, you know, this could just be that Enchanter Seraphine. You do obviously have the AP Seraphine as well. But, like, realistically, most of the damage threat on the side of Rising Dawn is from that AD. They do have double enchanters though. They also have some really strong disengage and re-engage tools with the Encore, with the Monsoon. They got ways to kind of, you know, avoid this dive in from Domino. But Domino have, you know, the Aatrox, who's going to be a menace in the team fights, propping that World Ender and just running into the team. The Diana ult being huge in the fight. Whatever ultimate is stolen away from the Silas. Now, Noxian Guillotine is garbage for Silas, even though he gets AP scaling on it, because he doesn't get the bleed and anything like that. So just hard miss on that one. But, you know, Whirling Death, an AP Whirling Death, Monsoon to be like an enchanter for his team, the Dragon Ray, like every other ult is amazing for him. I'm very excited by this game because I genuinely, again, just like the last game, I'm struggling to define which comp I actually prefer, because I look at one team and go, yeah, I love that, and they go, oh yeah, but on the other side, I like that. They're very, very nice comps, and, you know, wholly unique from one another as well.
Yeah, to be honest, the main thing you mentioned there that I really loved that you brought in was this itemization. It's look at all the physical damage on the sides of Rising Dawn. That means Tabi plus potentially Bramble, or even we've seen a lot of people optimize into Frozen Heart fairly early on to build. That becomes an option for a lot of the members on DMN. So we're going to see if they actually decide to itemize towards that.
I apologize to you guys at home when I yell riddle over Rising Dawn. Every time their team tag is just too close. It's too close. And in the heat of the moment, I make that mistake every time. So
is there something poetic about Rising Dawn picking 2 moon champions?
Yeah, I didn't realize that actually.
Oh dear. Anyway, we see a bit of a neutral start. So interestingly enough, neither supports have opted into this ward towards bot side. We normally see it, especially towards these double range matchups, because they can just pull the wave and set you up from level 1 in a pretty obnoxious game state. Instead, they look to ward this tri-bush, maybe a late ward, to scout whether or not they're even going to be leashing in the first place.
Oh, Limitless just takes a little bit of poke, but not really going to be too much of a problem on that front. This game is just starting off. The nice aggressive wards actually placed down though by Domino into
Yeah, I really
Rising
like
Dawn's
this.
jungle. You know, they'll spot whether or not Fat IRL realistically probably won't, but if he did think about going for like an early gank into this bot lane, also they'll catch him at the Raptors, so they'll know exactly what he's doing. And these two wards are just going to give so much information. Now there is one ward on the other side placed down right outside those Raptors by the side of Rising Dawn.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, the info that it's telling isn't too much because both junglers are pretty locked into their clear path. Diana pretty much always full clears, Lee Sin pretty much always full camps. But at least the info gets scouted out, and specifically for Domino, this means that now that they've seen Lee Sin on Wraiths, they know that he's going for that 4 camp. They know if he's going to 4 camp or 5 camp, and they know what gank timings he's going to be in towards his top side.
Well, shove starting up, as we've seen from our second Draven of the day. I didn't think we were getting 2. I didn't even know if we were getting 1, but lucky. As you expect, though, does get that early shove. You can see also Denzel now on the Seraphine. Champion is very, very effective at just shoving in these waves.
Do you ever feel like sometimes pro players just remember that champions exist? I feel like this with Darius. People realized that it was an option into Kalista, and they went, "Oh, it's not just good into Kalista. It's just good into everything. It's just really strong laning, and teams really benefit from that right now to try and get 4 Drake."
You know, I mean, there's a lot of champions, right? And it's one of those things where, like, I've seen a lot of different arguments about, like, the way the game's played and, like, how it used to be versus how it is. And one of the most common ones you see is a lot of people going, you know, do you remember, like, this season where it wasn't a patch every 2 weeks? The patches lasted way longer, and it gave us time to kind of, like, slowly build a meta as we were basically forced to find answers to champions that were broken.
Yeah.
You don't really get that as much anymore because of that, because we got a lot of champions. The metas change very quickly. So things like Darius are quick to forget, but they do show up. You know, Lux is still a good champion, even though you don't really see her that much. She's still pretty good, like, in the support role. I know some people play mid. I was once upon a time guilty of that, but you know, she's still a very solid support. She has a lot of, like, range harass, she has crowd control, she has really solid shielding, and yeah, she got taken out of the meta because they did do some work to her, but in the current state she's probably not awful. Speaking of things that are awful, that is Fine Forever's positioning, which is not Fine Forever. It was pretty rough, and he's now back to base.
Yep, he's dead, and that's First Blood going over to Porcupine, who we kind of noted in last game as well that Diana really doesn't find a lot of space in the early game. It's really level 6 Moonfall gets online. That's when you start having access not only to these skirmishes, but also fights in general. So finding an early kill is pretty important for Domino.
Also seeing Bankstead's got himself a 15 CS lead. Porcupine trying to contest this, but now with the knock up on the Monsoon, he takes a whole lot of damage from Limitless. But they're not actually going to be able to find him, as the smite heal was enough to keep him alive, and Snavy going to be forced to flash there as the tornado almost catches him with the knock up as well. So that could have been really, really rough on that front.
Yeah, and honestly, thankfully, Snabby was quick to rotate and support his jungler, make sure he's not peeked out. So very good to see, and means that, okay.
Nice farm lead, by the way.
Immediately want to look towards a replay for that, because Vangstead has been very aggressive, and you can see from the CS immediately he's actually built up a very strong lead, and I'm assuming that's going to immediately be a bit of an overstep. And you can see, I mean, look at the Darius trading pattern. So long as he's able to get that apprehend, he flashes forwards.
Oh, right, that was so unlucky. Got interrupted by the infernal chains as well, so you couldn't get the Q off and heal.
There you go. So yeah, Darius, that's a well-known strat. You pick up 4 stacks, you make them think that they're safe, you flash on them again. But unfortunately, that's swung the gold lead straight back even towards Buda again. I'm sure if we checked gold right now, we'd see that they would be pretty much even on gold. And there you go. In fact, Spuda has a gold lead on the Darius right now. And immediately, first thing he does is he optimizes towards Tabai, which is an incredibly safe purchase once again against the team, because we already noted it. They're basically full AD.
Yes, exactly. Well, 5 minutes on the clock right now. That gold lead obviously picked up, and it's only marginal, but you know, on the overall gold lead, actually very comfortably in favor of Domino. Hellman now getting some free time on this bot side as well. Gonna be able to pick himself up a plate on the Aphelios. And remember, the Aphelios really kind of wants those 2 to 3 items to really come online. Limitless He's going to spike as soon as he goes either into that Essence Reaver or that Eclipse. Last time we did see the Eclipse come in second, and it was straight into Essence Reaver, just with this rated for like the raw AD. Bangstead taking this fight here versus Spuda, but the World Ender gets popped, and Bangstead actually doesn't have the ultimate, but he does get it off in time. Maybe the Noxian Guillotine will do it. Bangstead gets a huge old heal, and look at those hemorrhage stacks onto Porcupine. He is bleeding out.
A big misstep coming up from Domino in general was they really didn't account for the XP Bangstead was on. He was literally one creep away from level 6, and it meant that all he does, he finalizes that creep kill even after Spuda burns the ultimate to try and get the aggression going. The turnaround is immediate, and thankfully ThatIRL has done a fantastic job all game now of just hovering his lanes. He's there for the pressure if it's needed, and whilst it has hurt his clear a little bit, you can see he's already actually 4 camps down right now. In return, it pays off in neutralizing that gold lead.
Sorry, my fire alarm went off there, so I muted, so no one has to deal with that one. But I am back.
You okay? Is your flat on fire?
Oh, you know what? My fire alarm goes off so much, but if my house actually did set on fire, I'm pretty sure I'm going to burn alive. I'm going to be real with you. It's the boy that cried wolf at this point.
Well, that's lovely, isn't it? That's a nice thought. Well, I'm glad you're not on fire, and you get to cast my NLC, so God bless.
Yeah, you know, just living my best life. I'm not on fire.
Not on fire.
Looks like actually we might see a dive bot lane. There's a Seraphine R onto 0 here. It's going to miss out on the knock-up, and Rising Dawn just need to get away. Like, this is too scary. When there is a Diana and a Silas standing by with a Seraphine ult on that Silas, you just leave. There's no point risking it. Just give the plate over. It's only one.
It's been really interesting to see how Domino have passed Porcupine bot lane repeatedly, as well as used the pressure that Aphelios can have on certain guns to actually pretty much play and lead in this lane. Said it in the Draven game, and I think it still holds true here. We expect Draven to get a lead early. We expect him to be on the aggression, especially past that first item, so we may not have hit the complete spike of this champion yet, but being 12 CS down 8 minutes into the game isn't exactly ideal for a Draven player.
It's 12 CS and 2 tower plays, so it's a way bigger lead than it looks because of the pressure they've been able to give, and typically Draven does have that pressure. If we could have a look at the individual gold, you'll see that, you know, this Aphelios sitting quite pretty. He's got himself a pretty significant lead, 500 gold. Actually, sorry, 600 gold over Limitless. And sure, Limitless is sitting on a lot of gold passively just from those adoration stacks. But
that's true.
That's like potential for him to actually pick it up. He has 199 right now. So it's a lot of gold if he gets it. I think it's like, at that point, you're closing in on like 700 gold, I think. I can't remember exactly the maths on it because it's been a long time since I've played Draven. But, you know, if he can find a kill, sure, it's going to be great. But if he can't find a kill or he dies and he loses half those stacks, you know, Hellman's not losing his gold lead without getting taken out. He is quite happy right now.
Yeah, just so you know how the stacks work, by the way, somebody will correct me in chat, but I'm pretty sure you get 40 extra gold for a kill, and then it's 2 or 2.5 times the stacks you have. So 199 means we're looking at like 500 gold plus. I'm a genius.
Perfect. He loses 75%. I forgot about that. Yes, it's 75% he gets. He used to lose 50.
Even with that, that means he's going to have the increased damage on the ultimate as well. So yeah, the changes that Draven found in, I think it's 12.9. It was maybe a little bit even earlier than that. I don't know what exact patch it was on, but those changes to his ulti were slow for people to pick up on. But I think people have really realized now that Whirling Death can be a very potent kill tool in tandem with other CC tools, especially when Draven's left alone like this.
Yeah, he's able to keep himself farmed up quite happily. Obviously, it's very hard for him to freeze lane because he just naturally pushes. Spuda has to be careful because they are looking to jump onto him. He is playing it safe, playing it calm, but he's stepping close enough. And there we go. The insect comes in. World Ender goes down, catches him with the apprehend. Spuda trying to keep himself alive. Has a fair amount of sustain to work with this build, but the Noxian Guillotine will dunk him from Vangstead. And Rising Dawn find the kill, throw down the Herald, and they're just going to shove into the tower as it looks like Rising Dawn on the other side going to force this teleport out from Denzel to make sure there's no counterplay, no counter dive on the other side. And actually, we might just see Vangstead get a tower here. He's going to be close.
This is
He's got a big
huge wave. It's an absolutely massive wave, and Darius actually takes turrets quite quickly because of that crippling strike as well. So he's going to absolutely shut us. And yeah, first turret going over. In fact, he's even going to start recalling. Huge brain plays. I don't think he does it correctly though. He was going to start recalling and take the turret gold just before he reset, but instead he clears the wave instead, which is probably the smarter play to be honest. But that would have been cooler.
Though.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I want to check gold once again. Seems like we're doing this a lot. But yeah, 2k gold lead. That means that the rest of his team's actually in deficit right now. We can see that through the remainder of the players. Lee Sin a 1k gold, the Diana a 1k gold lead, as well as Aphelios having around 800 gold over the pockets of Limitless there. But Bangstead has managed to even that up a little bit.
Yeah, curious to see what Denzel's build is. I actually haven't looked at it yet. So he is going the Lost Chapters. This is full AP Seraphine.
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense. You know, we were talking about how they are currently lacking fairly heavily in the old AP damage. So having the Seraphine there to be able to do that is going to be nice for them. Now, Dragon's spawning up in 1 minute 19. It is the Mountain Soul this game, so a little bit more resistances for these players to work with.
It's a Mountain Drake. We don't know what soul it is yet, I think.
Oh, we've only had one dragon. My brain.
We only have one Drake. The game's been pretty slow, to be honest. Actually, yeah, it's been 12 minutes and the game has been pretty slow. We maybe would expect a little bit more aggression from Rising Dawn, but that's not to say they haven't been doing anything. As mentioned, those Draven changes means that he's way more comfortable just vibing for a little bit, because not only does he have the security knowing that Welding Depth is going to continue to increase damage, he's still building up that potential gold come from a killer that eventually will be found in him, but also the one item spike on Seraphine, that utility with Double Bruiser is so well known by now, and I think Limitless is probably very aware of that and very happy to just play through this. Now this is a very scary TP coming out, but they're going to respect it.
Yeah, I think they do need to be a little careful. Don't want to give over that shutdown, especially onto the likes of a Silas. Probably just going to pay a bit of respect to that, as Helmet actually does get caught here, but multiple people are in the area. Fat IRL has used the kick.
Another kick.
The Porcupine. They miss the ultimate very wide here, and Zero fires back. He misses his own ultimate, but they're looking to keep the Monsoon on fight forever, unable to save the day. And down goes the Jana. Vangstead with the healing in the middle of everyone. Can't survive for long as Domino take them down 1 by 1.
And remember, Rising Dawn were the first team to make that engage there. Fat IRL tried to find a little insect combo to try and start that fight, but Denzel was not on point to follow up. The Encore completely flubbed, and even though actually Zero also flubbed the Encore as well, gotta love that from Silas players, they still find the successful fight, and that immediately leads into the second Drake now. And this gold lead that we saw established for Rising Dawn, specifically through this top line, is pulled away from them. That shutdown is given over to the enemy team. They get the second Drake as well. So now Domino have managed to get 2 birds with 1 stone. They've started to secure themselves their next objective, which will be that Drake soul, but they've also got that shutdown and destabilized that top side from Rising Dawn.
It was such a good kick, but yeah, just he missed the beat drop and the Encore. 2 major abilities went wide, and maybe there was a world where that could have come through from Vangstead. I mean, he got a big old heal off and he had 4 people on top of him, but even so, look at this. Bam. Not enough.
Yeah. And this is the issue with the Seraphine, specifically in this situation here, is they're very split apart. And the real strength of running this Double Bruiser plus Seraphine comp is you get to front to back with comps that don't normally get to front to back because of the usage of that Encore. Because they're so split apart, he's aiming Encore sideways, which completely messes up the way this team comp wants to play. And that's really why they bled out those 2 kills there.
Well, definitely a rough showing there from the side of Rising Dawn, as Domino are going to keep themselves ahead in gold off the end of that. And Hellman, who's been kind of quietly farming this entire time, did have the murder guns, doesn't actually have them anymore, but he will be able to take down this tower very, very fast here.
I feel like all of his guns are murder guns. People say they're red and white. I'm scared of Aphelios no matter what. You know, he's always scary to me.
But red and white is just like, you're not going near him at that point. Yeah. That is the combo that's just lethal.
I'm regular scared of him normally, but then when red and white's online, I'm like scared, but with a little bonus there.
Scared of an asterisk is there's like this tower may just go down. Actually, the Whirling Death clears out the wave and it buys a bit of time, but unfortunately, there's still a second wave crashing in, and the tower from Hellman means that he is going to be sitting quite comfortable on that front.
Yeah, down and something I highlighted earlier that I just want to mention now, because I want to be smart, is that immediately we've seen Helmet opt straight towards this Lord Dom second, and this is going to pair up so well with that flat pen that he's going to be getting from his passive, but it also gives him the opportunity to decide, hey, you know what, I'm going to be hitting targets a lot this fight. I can still go into that attack speed secondary if needed. If not, he can default on the AD and look for those big ultimate combos that I'm going to call it Crescendum. Is that the flamethrower one?
It's Infernum. Crescendum is the white gun.
It's the white gun. Yeah, the Infernum ulti combined with the armor pen is incredibly potent.
Yeah, Graviton's the purple.
Don't do this to yourself.
Oh god, Calibrum is sniper, and I feel like I'm missing one.
There's Chakram. Right? Chakram is the red one.
Chakram's the red one.
Yep.
Crescendum is what? What's
is it? Is Chakram the red one, or is Chakram
no,
the white
Chakram's one? What he gets with the red one. It's I don't know.
Oh. Maybe we should give up.
Chakram's
Isn't a good look here, Brain.
No, you know what?
Imagine not having, and imagine not knowing everything about League.
Like, I know what his guns do. I never call the guns out because, like, stupid champ.
Moonlight Vigil, shout out.
I know that one.
Ultimate. Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
That's about it for me.
I mean, that's his only real ability, to be honest. I think his Q doesn't. I don't know what his Q's called. Maybe
his
it
Q
changes.
Definitely counts. Oh, we get
anyway, let's have a look at the replay because we're just trying to learn about Phelios, apparently.
Okay, a really nice dive comes in there. Okay, so this is a small thing, but he kicks him into the wall. It means basically no displacement. It's basically just a really extended stun, and this comes off the back of the Herald. And this is why teams default to rotating to Heralds immediately, even if they don't think it's necessary, because we see Domino lose their top laner there. They rotate up late, and it's because of the potential threat of this Herald, and that gives so much more space on the bot side for Rising Dawn to set up a little bit of vision. They didn't get to do it successfully, but I mean, think about how bad their vision would have been otherwise.
All right, we've got a minute until the Dragon, so a minute until the big action breaks out. Rising Dawn are going to move into this area and place some vision down. There's a nice vision coverage, which actually Reed's doing a wonderful job of showing us. Look at those pink wards. They got two behind, one in the pit. And now it looks like Domino getting jumped onto. The kick goes a little bit skewy from FireRL. Should have flashed it, but he didn't go for it. And now the pressure kind of alleviated somewhat, but they do still have that kick coming back on a fairly short cooldown. Denzel trying to find himself the beat drop, but again, just not quite lining these abilities up and landing them, unfortunately.
The difficulty as well is that even with these wave shoves that they're finding first in mid lane, because these pinks scattered in, Rising Dawn know they don't have full vision through their own jungle, which means as soon as they see Zero on this bot side pushing out these waves, they have no idea where he is when those waves are pushed. And it creates a very scary threat for specifically Limitless and Denzel. And look at this again. He pivots straight back into the jungle. He's just going to sit.
Yeah.
And they
know he's there, though.
Scared. Yeah, they know he's there.
When you teleport to a pink, they see you every time. So they're going to know he's there, but maybe it's on them to try and start a fight. But with that dragon kick down, it's a little bit hard for them. Zero coming in on the flank here, maybe looking for a good Seraphine ult as he's going to throw it down, but goes completely skewer. The return one's pretty good, though. Look at that! Look at that fight! Oh, my word! Riddle are slammed in the fight!
And that's all they needed, was the disruption coming in from Zero there. Even though he actually ends up flubbing the Encore, he provides the space needed for Porcupine and Hellman to do the double Moonlight combination, that Moonfall into the Moonlight Vigil, and that leads into a very clean engage from Domino as a whole. They pick up 3 kills, they pick up the Drake as well, and now suddenly this soul is ever looming for Rising Dawn, as well as also perhaps even this mid lane turret falling as well.
Oh, did it? I literally said Riddle in the middle of that fight. I told you it was coming. I warned you at home. You knew what you were signing up for. So did everyone who booked me for this bloody show. But yeah, that was an easy fight there for Domino. They looked fantastic.
Yeah.
And while we're kind of on the reset, while we're kind of in a little bit of a lull, I'm going to throw you a question. Completely unleague related, unless we got a replay, which I actually think we do. So we'll wait and then we'll do that. Replay time.
So great. So we get to highlight Zero's misplay once again, but we also get to highlight positively Hellman and Porcupine being on point to really use the space that Zero actually bought for them. So there you go. He initially shows here, and this, look how disrupted Fat IRL is in this fight. He has to peel back to ensure he still has that safety. That provides the space for Porcupine to do this. And that perfectly combos with the Moonlight Vigil. They get the double reset onto Spuda, and then it's over from this point onwards, because even if Rising Dawn try and continue the fight, there's a full stacked Aatrox with Kong sitting in your face with full HP. And, well,
last game? Ooh. Oh,
Okay.
oh,
Oh,
he's out.
he lived.
So, what's your go-to
Another win for
takeaway?
Domino. Go-to takeaway.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if you can afford Indian's probably my shout. But Indian has a baseline cost, which is a little bit higher than other takeaways. Like fish and
I mean,
chips is so cheap, you know?
Yeah, but you kind of expect you know when you're like, oh, I fancy a takeout, and you're like, it's gonna be an Indian tonight. You know, you're down for the costs. Indian's good. Indian's a good shout. To be fair.
Yeah. Indian's probably my favorite choice, especially because like you can. There's so many different varieties of both taste and spice as well. I love it. I love it.
I do. I absolutely adore curry, so I'm a very big fan of that. But I'm a Chinese guy.
I only recently tried Thai. Hasn't been. There aren't many Thai places down here.
Lovely. I absolutely. I mean, like a lot of like Southeast Asian food's really nice. Like Vietnamese food as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I love me a Thai. There's actually a Thai takeaway down the road from me, and I live in the middle of nowhere, so somehow I lucked out on that front.
Oh bless! I've got one Thai place in my entire town. It's not very common.
Yeah, it's a shame because it's one of the I think it's one of the dishes that's actually harder to come by in the UK. Like we're quite lucky with like the amount of food we can get here. Like there's a lot of different types of food, especially if you go to like London and stuff. But like where I live, I'm still in the countryside, and I can kind of get a very broad array of different foods.
Yeah,
actually, I say that we have like 3 Thai places.
What? You're so blessed. Yeah, I feel like maybe that's a commentary on English cuisine, considering how much cultured food we have. Anyway, fight's beginning. TP starts, Midnight Vigil.
Oh, Limitless. If he dies here, he loses all his stacks, by the way. He hasn't gone down yet. Going to be able to hold out for the moment, but fine forever. I don't know if he's going to be fine for that much longer. Denzel throws out a bit of damage, and Rising Dawn are being run down once again here. Hellman's going to have to go in for a cheeky stopwatch as Fat IRL trying to save the day for his team, but he goes down. Limitless is next to follow. Vangstead comes down. Zero lands the charm. The beat drop goes wide, and Domino beat out Rising Dawn yet again in a fight.
And you can see that Rising Dawn are playing from deficit from second 1 of that fight. Find Forever is completely separated, and it means, as well as that chunk out on Limitless, it means that they're constantly running away. This is not how this comp wants to formate. They want to be having the Darius and Fatay Rad as well, serving for their carries to find damage. And especially considering the scaling of this comp, the fact that Tabai is such an easy purchase, that follow-up armor is such an easy purchase for Domino, this is suddenly a very scary position to be in, because you're 4k down. It's led straight into this Baron as well.
Oh, we're going to see the replay of that fight. Limitless, unfortunately, losing his stacks is a really heavy loss because he had a lot of stacks.
Yeah, he was he was in prime position to look for a kill here, but you can see, I mean, thankfully, I think Domino doing everything correct in this fight. Not only that, Spooder also having that stopwatch as well, so critical to ensuring that there are no kill trades here. This is a guaranteed 3 or 4 for 1, or 4 for 0 even. And yeah, I mean, there you go. It shows there. Porcupine got his ulti right at the tail end of the fight, and it even without not having that ulti, they were still, that start of the fight, the setup of the fight was what was important.
Yeah, really, really crisp stuff on that front. 25 minutes on the clock as well. It's been a relatively fast-paced game. A lot of these games today, they felt longer than they are, and you look at the time, you're like, huh, we're still sub 30 minutes. And even so, gold lead very, very comfortably in the favor of Domino right now. They got themselves a 5,000 gold lead. They're looking to threaten this Ocean Soul. And Rising Dawn, they have to push into this, but it's a hard press to do so. Fat IRL jumps into Spooder's face and is going to be able to zip away to safety. But meanwhile, the dragon spawning up in 6 seconds time. Vangstead gonna pop the ghost and try and find himself the kill immediately.
Oh, here it is.
A moonfall, but amazing charm flash comes out. The kick's gonna secure them a bit of safety as the big drop goes down on the other side. Vangstead can't even get close. The Moonlight Vigil goes between the goalposts, and Hellman just slides into the fight. Everybody is low though, as Vangstead's looking for the reset, but Hellman, he has the murder guns, and murder he shall do. One member falls down. Limitless trying to find an additional kill, but he can't find anything for his team as Porcupine is chasing down. Zero slides in. Limitless falls to the Kingslayer from Zero. Porcupine is just being a nuisance over and over and over again in this game. Denzel's just about able to survive for now, but Porcupine may just jump into the waiting jaws of death once again, as Denzel is not going to be able to do anything. Dragon should be secured here for Domino.
And what a compilation of different myriads of tools that Domino have set up to find successful fights. Not only is it larger outplays, that Moonfall was absolutely critical to ensuring that successful fight there, but also look at the builds right now. Absolutely perfect itemization. The Sunfire coming in for Diana is so clutch to ensure that she can consistently jump in, ensure that the Moonfall is going to hit, as well as being not too squishy enough that Darius can easily stack up on her for free. It's the Sunfire build. It comes in so clutch with the Red Smite to be such a strong initial threat in these fights, and he buys the space for the rest of his team who have come in with key itemization like the repeated stopwatches that were showed once again there, as well as the Sonya from Zero to really buy time and ensure that Limitless and Denzel cannot find the return kills. It all aligns perfectly.
That was just, it's really perfectly executed fights here coming in from the side of Domino. Now you're looking at Hellman, who is working on his 4th item. He's already at that strong, really strong point. And Limitless, 2 deaths in a row now, has basically just lost every stack. And, you know, it's basically lost gold. That's gold you're not getting back this game.
And interestingly enough, this Silas, this pivotal Silas pick that we've actually seen do so well in some of these fights, even with the flubbed encores, has been such a omnipresent damage and tanky player to really extend these fights and set up successful fights for Domino, was something we knew was going to be contested in this draft. Both these players have a fair bit of Silas on this split so far, and in fact taking away some of the other picks in mid lane may have piloted Zero into the Silas and actually led to the success that we see now.
Well, holding up for the moment. Obviously this Baron not on the Rift for a little bit, so we're just seeing what they're going to be doing. Apparently, I've just had an update. That Draven had almost 500 stacks when he died the first time. He lost 75% of them, then basically respawns and loses another 75%. Like, Limitless just got, you know, he got denied a lot. He's on 73 stacks now, and it's been a little bit since that. So he lost a lot of stacks, and that's a serious amount of gold as well.
Yeah, and it really speaks to why maybe Sunfire should be nerfed, this kind of form of Sunfire where he gets slotted in with damage items. Because look at Porcupine right now. He has 3,400 HP, breaking in on almost 3.5k. And he also has 250 AP. This man is a perfect combination of tankiness and damage threat. And it means that can Fat IRL kick him into his team and not immediately burst in? No, and that's the key tool here, is that there's no target now for Fat IRL to kick that can immediately die other than Hellman.
And this is what you get for the durability patch. I'm gonna be real with you. This is the payoff. You go durability patch, assassins have to build something to actually, you know, you can't one-shot anyone anymore, so you might as well get tanky and jump in and just be a problem. Porcupine punishing Riot for their decisions. I'm not salty, by the way, I promise.
Hey, Brain, just be better, mate.
Just be better. Yeah, no, just be better and bite Sunfire, Kate.
Oh dear, we
I'm
see a return.
I refuse to go down that road. I don't care how juicy the LP is.
I give you 2 weeks.
Sunfire LeBlanc is coming.
We return to neutral now. I think Vangstead and the rest of us team trying to look for small plays, because I know that right now they're playing from behind. But I mean, Spooder, even with this, look at the build, that's just Tavine Gordrinke. He takes negative damage at the moment. Not going to last too much longer. As there you go. Those 5 stacks being really important there. But this is an exchange for this top lane tier 2 turret. And I was going to note, actually, that Domino have a bit of struggle sieging. They're pretty much mostly committal, fighting, dive kind of a team. And against Janna, Seraphine, it could be really scary. And considering their lack of range otherwise, it's very difficult for them to siege. These kinds of trades actually work for Domino, because next time Baron spawns, under 15 seconds now, by the way, that's one less turret they need to be looking towards before they're unlocking these inhibs, before the map really opens up for them and they get to look for, okay, can we dive this comp now?
Yeah, that's the question. Also, now they've got the Ocean Drake as well. If they go for these dives, take a bit of poke and walk away, they just heal back up. They are quite happy. 2 minutes until the Elder as well, and the Baron, like you said, has now just spawned up. So expecting to see some attention go towards that already. The blue ward goes down as they're just trying to spot out anybody on a Snabby. Just holding up for the moment. Those glacial augment, the slow zones are pretty horrible to work around at this point.
Having that Inferno means that hopefully Hellman's going to have the wave priority to set up for this Baron first. You can see they're immediately on the pings, this vision setup that they've set up across this topside jungle. Oh, so potent in the fact that they're covering every major entry point, which is key to scouting out how Fatara is going to contest. Just remember, that's the downside of having blue side. Hey, you get to contest Drakes, you get to potentially steal Drakes. You don't get to steal away the Barons.
Hellman is actually looking to use up his gravitum. I'm curious what next. There it is. That's why you wanted red gun. Curious how far through he is towards white gun, because that could be a scary thing. They are looking to jump in. Hellman just immediately flashes out. Same for Snabby. They're not even willing to risk it. Porcupine, on the other hand, he's willing to risk it. Hellman needs to line up a beautiful ultimate. It's fine forever. Could just be going down. He's pinned in place. They do get the encore off, but it doesn't matter because the chase is coming in. Zero's got his own encore. 3 people caught out. One immediately blown up. Fato Urel goes down. Denzel should be next to follow. No, he's able to get the distance. How did Porcupine dash that far? Down goes Denzel. Rangstead is going so low. Everybody's going to chase him down. Hellman with the red
dangerous
gun will finish him up. The ace. The Baron isn't needed to close this game out. Domino looking unbelievably strong right now.
The 5-0. They did not break a sweat as they ran them down immediately. No other objectives needed to be picked up. That individual pickup point, I think, shout out to Snabby there. Really, that breaking down that encore and then finding it in return to continue their chase was so important for securing that fight. In turn, they straight away pick up the win. Now they secure themselves that third space spot temporarily, because now we get to watch Lundqvist Lightside play as our final game of the day.
That was a very crisp game coming in from those guys. Domino looking super potent off the back of that one. And, you know, for the side of Rising Dawn, you know, they've got their heads to scratch. They've, you know, they're not out of the run for playoffs. They've made playoffs.
No, of course not.
That's not being denied from them, but that is going to cause them some, you know, concern as they get towards playoffs, because that was a very dominating end of the game there from Domino. Anyway, I think it's time for us to throw to a quick break. When we're back with our interviews with the winners of that game. So we'll see you in a moment.